So the topic I'm going to start you off with is in the news earlier this week. It's Neuralink. I don't know how many of you heard about it. So, if in case you don't know, so Elon Musk is starting a new company to build this brain implant device. It's called a Neuralink. What it does, in very simple terms, is it directly connects your brain to a digital network around you. So, right now, if we have to connect to the internet, for example, we use a laptop, we use a phone or something like that. Instead, here your brain is directly going to be connected to the internet. So that's awesome. There's a company now that's actually going to be doing it. But there are people talking about ethical concerns like people with those implants, are they humans anymore? Are we becoming almost machines at that point? And stuff like this. So the topic today that we wanted to hear your thoughts on is as far as living in space is concerned, how do you think brain implants for enhancing brain work would go? If you think it's going to be mandatory or required thing because everything has to be efficient in space and for living in space, is it okay to almost not be humans but have civilizations set up all over the solar system? So that's the two angles to this topic. So at this point, I think I'll stop talking and let someone else take over.
It's easy. So, thank you. Of course, humans suck going to space. We are not meant to go to space, right? Otherwise we would have gone to space much easier. So having implants is the right way to go, I think. That makes you much more resistant to all these issues which you might encounter in space. So I think this is a perfect happy marriage. And I would say more implants are even better. Even like other kinds of implants, not just brain implants. Like implants to help you breathe in less air or don't breathe at all. I don't know. So things like that, I think it's better. That's my view on it.
Hello, I'm Jamie. I think it's a great idea, but the brain is a complex organ, I guess, and I think that there's so much more that we need to learn about the brain that implanting something so soon can create problems that we don't know and might not be prepared for. I'm not against it, but I definitely do think that we do need to be cautious. Same thing with CRISPR, the human gene editing tool. It's just you gotta be cautious. But it's a great idea. Start off with like little things and develop from there.
I think if we want it to be useful in space, it's going to have to be something local and not an internet that's in the cloud, because if you're on Mars, you have like a 7-minute window latency for your search query to even return. So I don't think it'll be, if you're connecting to the internet, I don't think it's going to be very efficient, especially if the utility function that you're trying to access is some AI that maybe solves some like quick computation or something. You'll be like waiting for, I don't know, 15 minutes just to get your results back from Wolfine Alpha or whatever. So it would have to be local.
I think it's a great idea, but the one thing we don't really think about is we always think this stuff's going to be fair and they're going to put these technologies in us to make us access the internet and everything be great. But a lot of people that control these ideas, they have a lot of other insights in terms like controlling the way we think and our thoughts and all of that. And so beyond the advantages of being able to browse the internet or connect to digitally things better, like there's a lot of negative sides of this that you really have to like think about and will be argued like crazy when it comes to that.
I was just gonna like add to that, like, so you're suggesting maybe, I don't know, like an ethical code that goes with it or something along those lines? Because that's very true. If you give someone a lot of power and they don't have the right intentions, it might be dangerous.
Okay, I'm gonna actually reply to 3 people, I think. I think I completely agree with you, but we have a lot to learn about the brain and so on and so forth. I think it may be a tool, though, to learn about the brain. So I think that'd be great, like a synergistic kind of relationship. on the control, I think already today we've surrendered a lot of control. You go on Facebook or whatever, the ads are custom tailored to your search parameters, to your Google search, to everything. They make you see what you want to see already. You buy what they make you buy, and so on and so forth. So I think as long as it's a input as opposed to output, you don't give much more control. It's just more readily available. And for the local versus not local thing, I think you're right. I mean, if it's not local, it's going to be completely useless. But I think at this point, it won't be too hard to say build the internet on Mars or wherever it is you go with. You just live with one. You just live with one small server with a machine learning algorithm. It will kind of rebuild itself almost on the way to Mars, maybe actually. By the time you get there, you have a whole brand new internet and you're good.
I think it's inevitable where this journey we're heading towards. I think in terms of having control, losing control, I think folks we've already past that. We've already given up our own power to the ones that have the control. I think in terms of where we are, in terms of advances in technology, and especially in the exponential rise in technology, is inevitable with this total integration of not only AI, but also the advances in mixed reality, which is actually happening now, and the whole integration of brain interface, where we're going with that. I do believe that is something that is going to happen. If we are really going to colonize and become a multiplanetary species, which I really can see it happening within the next 30, 40 years, actually, we're definitely going back to the moon, but for the humans to land on Mars and to inhabit Mars, that would actually happen within our lifetime. We'll at least land on Mars. I feel that it's something that we're not going to stop. It's just like the whole idea of 50 years ago, just literally 50, 60 years ago, when we're looking at medicine and we're looking at implantation, we're looking at, a grafting and all this. I mean, that was just pioneering at the time, but look where we are now. Just what this lady said about CRISPR-Cas9 and that whole new revolution of genetic scissors, being able to now to manipulate our genetic gene pool. I think in terms of where we're heading and the advances we made, it's not going to stop. It's going to move forward. And the ethical question will always arise. But when we look at history of humanity and where our faults and the lessons we should have learned, we have not learned. And I feel it's something that you either embrace or you're going to have a hard time trying to stop it because it already has started. So I'm totally on board with having the advances in this area because it has many potential benefits for humanity and also to help improve quality of life, not only for future space exploration, but also benefits for us here on Earth, planet Earth.
Okay.
Just a quick remark. I think it's something that is really desirable, but as she was talking about DNA, we run the risk of giving control of our most inner personal value, which is our brain or mind or will or desires or emotions, and that in the wrong hands can have very bad consequences.
One more person, right?
Just going back to the chip in the brain. So we talked about a little bit of the negative side of it. I'm thinking all positive here. So imagine you guys have all seen The Matrix, right? Like they plug in and all of a sudden they know 1,000 different martial arts or something. I'm just picturing like you land on the moon, all of a sudden you know the whole map of the moon. You know what the lava tube looks like on the inside of the moon. You don't need to do any research. It's all done for you. I mean, imagine Google Maps inside of your brain, right? That's what I'm thinking, right? I mean, discard all the negative propaganda being planted in your brain and all that. I'm thinking of the positive. It sounds like a pretty cool idea. We'll see. We'll see if it happens.
I think the question goes exactly to that point. If we become a server, a Google server, is that okay? I think that's the question that he was talking about too. I'm sensing a lot of cautious optimism on the topic, and she actually made it almost sound inevitable. Any strong pessimists here about this? Anyone who wants to make a protest for this idea?
I can go to a dark place, sure. Is anyone here familiar with the movie which was based on an anime coming out called Ghost in the Shell? Anyone? It's one starring Scarlett Johansson. It was based on the 1995 classic. Anyway, the premise is that it's a futuristic world where the main character has an accident or whatever you want to call it, and most of her body, if not all, is replaced with this humanoid, which they call the ghost, and their little piece of consciousness that's left is what they call the I switched the two. Sorry, her body is the shell. Her consciousness is the ghost. And in this, type of reality, you can switch out your shells. You can augment to your shell. You can, just like the Matrix, learn things. And the whole kind of direction or message with the movie is that, like, whether or not so much whether we'll live in a world where we'll need this technology, but will technology need humans? Where will humans be obsolete in the future? So it's more of a question of what is so special about humans that they even need to exist in the future if we have AI and everything that could do all these amazing things.
Why do you care about the flesh so much? Why? Right? So I mean, it's a positive thing from my perspective. I mean, so I'm just saying that it's great. I mean, we can live longer, right? What's wrong with that? We can get all the information, like you said, immediately. That's perfect. It's called evolution. We are evolving ourselves now instead of letting nature evolve us slowly. We are just going faster. That's all it is.
Just pushing it actually one step further, and then we go back to reality, is I didn't actually read the article, so I don't know for a fact, but I know Elon Musk is so very into AI and what he calls kind of reasonable AI, and one of his premises is that he thinks that the only way to go forward when AI breaks out, and it will, is to come together. And one thing that this Neuralink would allow is for us to interact and kind of coexist with AI. So I think where he's going is actually for us to be able to survive whenever the AI come through and they decide that we are no longer relevant. So I think we're actually all going to the right dark place. So.
That's good. No, there's nothing wrong with dark. Space is dark.
So I support this whole neuro implant and everything. But I think an interesting question that we should think about, going off of what you said, becoming more cyborg, I guess. Like, how far can we go before, like, how far can we go? Like, at what point do we stop becoming human? And at what point do our current ethics break down if we're all more robot than human, is pretty much what I'm saying. So that's the question that I have.
I mean, I think in the same way that our bodies will evolve, our ethics will evolve alongside with it. So when we think about it in like the cyborg code, we're going to have different qualities and different values that will ascertain to that. My point of view is that in regards to implanting a neural network, we've talked about privacy, but more so than privacy, what I'm concerned about is security. If this neural network is streamlined, what's going to prevent anything from a disastrous hacking or from essentially manipulating or influencing our minds? A gentleman over there brought up that our mind is one of our most intimate things that we possess. That's our independence. So once we've sort of relinquished the independence, but also jeopardized our security of our minds, how do we safeguard that? So that's my question.
So I actually agree with you, but I'm going to play the kind of devil's argument in the sense that a lot of our issues today, I think, as a species, come from our intimate thoughts that stay hidden, right? Murder or whatever nasty you may think of humans doing typically stems from the brain, stays hidden, and eventually someone acts up on it, and we cannot prevent it in time. So the counter argument is that this may actually help us eliminate all those type of issues by actually being able to detect and monitor those thoughts and prevent, murder and all kind of crime we may not want to see. I'm not saying we should do it. I'm not saying I even want it. I'm just saying this may be another byproduct of relinquishing what we call today privacy.
I just wanted to add to that. We'll become the blogs at some point. I mean, this is basically going there, right? We'll all become a collective. We'll think together as a single organism instead of, we'll become a hive mind. We'll do awesome things, but we'll probably lose individuality, which is okay. I mean, it depends. It depends on the code we have. It might be okay. So.
Maybe a couple of more suggestions. This is going really well.
Well, I was just going to say that we might be making a choice for our generation, but we're also making a choice for the future generation. And who's to say that the future generation agrees with the decision that we've made? We're making a choice for someone else, and they might not be happy about it. And it's like, I'm bringing CRISPR back again because I read about it all the time. But it's one of the issues brought up is that the super babies that might be created out of it, will they be happy? And when lawsuits come in, and the same thing I'm saying about having chips implanted in our brain is will these future generations be upset about that? And it's something that we should consider as well.
Yeah. I really like the idea, chips, I guess, or whatever. But the implants. But think about, how about hackers? Hackers can crack into these implants maybe, and then do whatever they want with them. Do, pull robberies for other people, right? I don't know, just thinking of how people could use that for good and for bad.
Sorry.
Like I mentioned before, we always have to click the OK whenever we say, or we see a terms and conditions, like whether it's like Apple, Google. So we know whenever we're relinquishing, our security rights. So what I'm curious about is with these neural implants, are we to say that it's sort of, the contract with having these neural implants where you are essentially jeopardizing the security of your mind? And whenever there is, an international, hacking spree where our social securities are, accessed by people outside of this country, it's always a big deal. So how does that multiply in distress once, it's our minds and how we think and how we want to access that personal information?
Two more, so one more after that.
Again, I completely agree. I'm not disagreeing. I'm just bringing the other side of the coin. At the same time, so simply now on your phone, right? Some app wants to have access to the camera, and you wonder why the heck do you need to access my camera to send whatever? And we all say, okay, because we have a choice. We cannot use the app if not. And nothing bad happens, right? I have relinquished, presumably, nothing bad happened yet, I've relinquished my rights on my phone. I mean, my phone, Google, knows wherever I am all the time, what I send by text, email, everything, and I'm fine, I think. On the printer SSN and the social security stuff, same thing. Not to make bad press for JPL, but JPL was hacked. All my information, my prints, my SSN, everything was hacked. So they can use to do pretty much whatever they want. Again, nothing yet bad have happened. I'm not saying it won't, I'm not saying it's good. I'm saying at some point the statistics are so huge that it's almost inactionable. Whatever bad they can do with information is significantly almost already obsolete. But again, I'm not saying it's a good thing, I'm saying it may just not impact us in the way we might think it might.
So who wants to give a concluding speech? But did someone raise hand? Sorry? But yeah,
maybe opening a little bit, but with the same argument of being able to steal your information, having control to your brain and secreting chemicals to your brain, which controls your every thought and emotion, is a lot more vulnerable than stealing like your fingerprints and your identity. You know, they can truly change the way you decide your life, and that kind of stuff is inevitably scary, but also it's the future. So it's just kind of the unknown of where we're going to go with it all. But I think it is the direction we are going as a society. We're dumb to try to stay in the same way, but it's a crazy future.
Hi. So I wanted to talk more about Space Cooperative. So this is Innovate Pasadena, Living in Space, but it's organized by 4 members of Space Cooperative. And we're a new company just formed last October. And our initial solution that we're working on is a collaboration platform for people to work on space missions together. So as soon as this loads up, I'm going to give you a little demo of our current working prototype. It's not ready for users yet, but we're expecting to have a soft launch in July. So you would go to the landing page and you see, oh, these are the different missions. And we want to have really big missions on there because nothing like this exists today, where you can go on the internet, you find a mission that's impossible to work on, and you join it. So for example, you want to go to Mars. This is just placeholder text right now from NASA, but the objectives, documents, you see who's part of the crew, and then you can join it up here. And then you have a profile as well. So these are the missions I'm part of. These are some of my recent publications, but not really. You can become my friend, send me a message. So this is just an initial demo of what it would be like. We definitely are going to have a lot more features on top of this, but as the MVP, minimum viable product, you need a platform where you can have friends, message people, join missions, collaborate on documents together. So that's phase 1. And yeah, if you guys want to talk more about it after the meetup, or do you have a question?
Do you think it will also be a technically collaborative environment, or mostly just social?
Oh, it's about every aspect of making a space mission come to life. And in the beginning, it's definitely going to be oriented towards non-physical structures, since that's easier to collaborate on. But the point is to do all of the technical work, all the design work, and then you take it to the next phase of, okay, how do we fund this mission? How do we build it? How do we launch it?
How do you do quality control? Have you thought about that kind of stuff?
It's going to be part of the community to figure it out. So the idea is to be part of the platform as if you were part of a company, as if you were part of a space agency. So there's going to have to be, people that are mission coordinators. The mission coordinators need to, work with the people that want to be part of the mission to, understand which tier they fit in. And then it's going to require the community to figure out how to work with different skill sets and the feedback loop. All right. All right. Okay, now Patrick's going to talk about a mission that we are working on.
Thank you, Yalda. All right, guys. So within the scope of Space Co-op, we have our platform, which is the main big project we have going on, and that's going to be for everybody to collaborate on, and well, a lot of things that you'll know about in the future as we develop our MVP. And within that, we have. Thank you, sir. Loading. Connect. Thank you, sir. Cooperative Node Network Command Test. It is a flagrant example of NASA-inspired backronyms, where we had to come up with a word based off of things that could make the word with an acronym. And if you Google backronym, that's also a word. So essentially, how many of you guys have played something like Call of Duty Advanced Warfare? Or you've seen The Matrix? Or you've seen Star Trek? Or Star Wars? I think that covers basically everybody, right? So you've seen swarms of these droids doing whatever their master, whoever it is, you know, Palpatine or Queen Borg or the North Koreans or whoever, right? You've seen them doing what one guy who clearly doesn't have the intelligence of NASA Mission Control doing whatever they say, right? Imagine that in space, but instead of for some crazy video game style war effort, it's for science. You have a swarm of satellites that can be used without the support of a 500 human mission control and quite a few dozen PhDs of mathematics supporting you. Instead, you can just point or some other, you know, very user-friendly interface and have CubeSats do the swarming activity to do your mission. That is what we're going for. So a sneak preview of that is this right here, and it is a very much sneak preview. I mean, Hollywood doesn't give this much of a sneak preview. So what you have right here is you have an asteroid based off of actual JPL data. We picked an asteroid based off of my family initials, so don't worry about that. And here we have a couple of 3-unit CubeSats. CubeSats, for those who aren't familiar with this very specific space lingo, Stanford and Cal Poly SLO collaborated about a decade ago to put together these modular, very affordable, accessible designs for a satellite bus. So it's kind of like a car chassis for people who are into cars or who own cars, except instead of a car chassis, it's this cube of metal with some basic sensors that universities and even high schoolers and middle schoolers can afford to send to space. And this data you're seeing right here is based off of actual physics-based simulation data from an engine that we're developing. This isn't just some video game, oh, we're going to have, you know, starfighters with wings in space. This is actual physics-based simulation data of a swarm in space and how it behaves under propulsion maneuvers, under gravity fields, and, you know, real physics, not video game physics. So if I can exit out of this, wait for it. Next slide. There we go. So we're presenting this project at the, I think it's 10th annual CubeSat California Polytech State University in San Luis Obispo Developers Conference, April 28th. So that's next month on a Friday. So easy enough to get off work. In San Luis Obispo, we're going to be presenting this project. So if you want to hear more about what we're working on a real project being developed using the aspects that our actual platform will enable everybody to collaborate on, come see us there. And if you have any questions, feel free to talk to any of us afterwards, and we'll be more than happy to answer some of our questions. As a final notice, in case any of you here are more than just vaguely interested in space, Space Cooperative is growing, and we're looking to infinity and beyond. That's not trademarked, is it? We're looking for a few positions, and I trust you guys can read, but I'll summarize it. Space mission engineers, which is a really broad topic for people who like planning space missions. Our guest speakers today already outlined some of the things that space mission engineering requires. That's planning your path, what your spacecraft looks like, so on and so forth, what you're going for. Back-end developers, so a little more down-to-earth, things like Ruby development, where you are actually building the platform that y'all outlined earlier. Front-end developers, so that's what the user is seeing as opposed to all the code in the back that makes it happen. Interaction designers, again, this is very specific to that subset. ITAR compliance. For those policy nerds out there, ITAR is what America says about sharing things that North Koreans could use against us. And by that, I mean, space is hard, and space was built on a ballistic missile program, which we don't want North Korea to have. So essentially, doing anything space-related requires some finagling with U.S. law, because Space Cooperative is a California-based corporation. So anybody who has a mind for this kind of thinking, please contact us. And more. There is so much to living in space beyond what, rocket science and at face value says. So if you're interested in helping out and you want to see where you can fit in, please contact us. We have curious@space.coop. We also have our space.coop/membership website. And of course, Yalda, Braden, Srinath, and me, that's Patrick, we're going to be here for quite a while tonight. So feel free to approach us as well. We take business cards, cash, check, stock transfers, whatever you like. But really, thank you all for coming. And as a final note, thank Innovate Pasadena and Cross Campus for hosting us and making this event possible. So thank you all.